been here a number of years and actually created the forensic mental health counseling program about 5 years ago when the New York legislature passed a new bill which basically created a licensed counselor position. And basically, in addition to creating a licensed counselor's position, it makes it harder for people who do not have a license to practice psychotherapy or counseling. So, we created the Forensic Mental Health Counseling Program to exist side by side with the MA in Forensic Psychology program, which was the only program that we had before then. So basically, the Forensic Mental Health Counseling program shares many classes with the Forensic Psychology program, but it is a 60-credit program rather than a 42-credit program because there are some additional required counseling courses beyond forensic psychology. But I should say that as people go through both programs, they may not be sure whether they want to pursue a degree in forensic counseling to become a licensed counselor at the master's level, or whether they want to get an MA in forensic psychology. And we give you the opportunity to transfer back and forth between programs while you are in one or the other, and be able to transfer all of your credits from one program to the other. However, once you graduate with either an MA in forensic counseling or an MA in forensic psychology, it becomes harder to transfer credits, and at that point, you're only allowed to transfer a maximum of 30 credits from one program into the other. So, but nevertheless, both people from programs are really both all in the psychology department taking courses together. And so sharing experiences, sharing courses, and sharing professors. And so it's kind of a relatively very well intermingled and program in that regard. So, so basically, after a person graduates from forensic mental health counseling, then they would have to take 3,000 hours under supervision while getting paid for a job and take a national exam and then apply to the state. And the state will review your credentials and your exam results. You're graduating from our program, which is a license eligible program approved by the state, and also any other records that come their way. So make sure that you're good and while you're going through the program, and then they will issue a counselor's degree through the State Education Department, Office of the Professions. So here are the initial required courses in our program. And you can see many of these are also required by forensic psychology, but there are a few additional ones. Our basic course, Mental Health Professional Social Science and the Law, is a kind of law and psychology or law and counseling type of course, which covers some of the basics, areas where law and counseling and psychology intersect in terms of regulations of court cases, issues of sanity and competency, and some basic key concepts that affect both psychology and counseling and law. Research methods required by both programs. Human growth and development, basically that's developmental. Theories of personality is like covering traditional theories such as Freudian and Skinnerian and cognitive behavioral and such different approaches to understanding human personality. Psychopathology is like an advanced abnormal course. Intro to Forensic Mental Health Counseling. This is the first one that's really only applicable to counselors. So it covers some of the basic principles from a counseling point of view, which is similar but not identical to psychology, and emphasizes the role and identity of mental health counselors. Clinical instruction is also just a counseling course, and it's a pre-externship course. Everyone has to take that some role playing and talks about common kinds of externship situations. Psychotherapy and counseling methods is basically how to do therapy or counseling. And clinical interviewing is how to do a diagnostic interview, an intake interview, and group dynamics is another required course just for counselors, although a forensic psychology program can take it, learning how to do group, and sometimes it's taught in a group format where you role play a little bit what it's like being in a group. Next we have STAT, which is also required for both programs, and Introduction to Assessment, which is a specific course for the counseling program, which reviews basic validity and reliability and different types of tests that are available. Then finally, in addition to electives, the requirement is 600 hours in an externship rather than just 300. And so as you see, at the day 758, the clinical instruction course, you also, of course, you have psychopathology, intra, mental health, counseling, and so more, basically you should really do the externship in either program until you're 2/3 of the way through the program during your last year. But you can start working on it the semester before that, because sometimes it takes a bit of time to find the best place. Now, before I get into the electives and cognates, I just want to ask my assistant to come up, Elizabeth Tremblay. And this summer she will be in our office. Both offices are near each other on the 10th floor of the new building. And so she will be there on Tuesdays and Thursday afternoons from 11:30, is it 5:30? And answer any of your questions or emails. She and I regularly consult with each other all the time. If there's anything that requires input from me or help from me, we go over emails and questions every day. And our phone number is 212-237-8782. But better yet, you can reach us at my email address, which will be on a slide later. Did you want to say anything, Liz, before we continue?
As kind of MRSO, do you think I'm kind of like the point person for that kind of forensic mental health counseling? Any questions? I know I moved from out of state, so I know any questions regarding that, and where you want to move, live, all that good stuff. One, welcome to ask me. I'm going through the program, and then our other assistant who starts in the fall, Amber, she'll be coming back. We both kind of know what's going on in the program. Professors, like what we want to do for externship, and we're the point person for externship for both programs. So forensic psych and forensic mental health counseling, you need to contact our office for externship, and we have a lot of binders in our office with past externships. So it's really a great resource for students to reach out and usually we kind of have a feeling of certain externship sites, because we see all the information from students. So more than welcome to ask any question. As Dr. Savali said, no questions silly or dumb, so feel free.
Thank you very much. Basically, we instituted a peer advisement program this year, and so at some point during your first, hopefully, semester or year, you will come in and meet with us, and also everybody who's going to be doing an externship at some point should have an advisement session also to go over any questions that you might have about externships. So now we will continue. You're allowed to take 2 classes outside of the psychology program. Let's say if you're interested in a class in criminal justice or public administration, something like that, you can seek permission, which people usually do. You can take the course outside of the psychology or forensic counseling program. Here are some of the electives, which Professor Salfati mentioned before. There's some social science type of courses, such as social eyewitness identification, some courses like evaluation counseling of sex offender, alcoholism, and substance abuse, which about 70% of the incarcerated felons confess to heavy use of before they're locked away. So crime scene analysis and empirical profiling, Professor Salfani teaches, and various testing courses. One difference between the two programs is that for forensic psychology, you have to take 2 testing courses that aren't specified, but in forensic counseling, you only have to take 1, which is an introduction, an overview of all the tests. So you can do a thesis in the forensic counseling program, but because you're really primarily being trained to be a counselor, you have to take that thesis. If you do the thesis track, you're going to have to do that in addition to the externship track. And so that's why most people in the forensic counseling program do not choose to do a thesis, because frankly, it's going to extend your 60 credits for an additional semester or 2 to try to get your thesis under the belt, work in the lab, take all the thesis courses. And so most people who are really interested in becoming researchers, academicians, generally try to go through the forensic psychology program and do a thesis, be at the top of their class, and then apply to a doctoral program from the research track. The forensic counseling program is really created to be more of a clinical track where you're going to go out there and be a practicing clinician at the master's level rather than be a concentrate and do a thesis and get into a doctoral PhD research-oriented program, as most PhD programs are now. So, you also have the opportunity in either program to work towards a CASAC, which is basically Certified Alcohol and Substance Abuse Counselor. You can take some of your courses towards your CASAC in both programs, such as Psych 714, which is the alcoholism course, and CRJ 714, and you get to it as a concentrate, ethical issues. And then you have to take a bunch of undergraduate courses. You can also take courses online. But if you get certified as an alcoholism substance abuse counselor, combine that with forensic counseling program and be a licensed counselor with the 2 degrees, increase your viability for jobs. And there's all kinds of people who end up in the criminal justice system with both substance abuse and in need of counseling. And so to have a combination of the 2 degrees is a very nice combination, and it's an area that is a good one to consider if you're at all interested in it. And then take the Psych 714 as sort of an entree level course to get a feel for it, for deciding whether you want to pursue this if you don't know too much about substance abuse other than your own experiences. Now, how long does the program take? Well, 60 credits, 600 hours, 15 credits per semester are possible, but most people do 9 or 12. Did you say this?
Yeah, most of us do.
Yeah, and so, it's tough. I would not recommend starting off with 15 credits, sort of like diving into the pool without knowing quite how well you can swim yet or how deep it is. So check it out with experience. Can you receive the MA in Forensic Psychology and the MA in Forensic Mental Health program simultaneously? No, you have to choose one degree or another. And there's no point in really getting 2 master's degrees in such closely related fields. So it's not, some people graduate from one and then they change their mind and come back and are able to transfer in 30 credits going towards the other degree. But it's better to move on after you get your MA. If you want to, you can go for a doctorate in counseling. You can go for a doctorate PhD, particularly if you've been in the research track, because PhDs are very research-oriented, or a PsyD, which is a doctoral level clinical psychology degree that doesn't require research, but is licensable as a licensed doctoral level psychologist. Those are some options if you choose to go on with your studies after graduating our program. Are students eligible for a licensure outside of New York? It depends. Every state is different. It's like you have to pass the bar exam in different states if you want to become a lawyer. Same with the counselor. Each state is a little different. New Jersey currently recognizes our program as a counseling program. But other states, if you're planning to move to Carolina or something, you need to check out how they interpret their counseling laws. The core courses are similar in almost every counseling program in the country, but they may be interpreted differently, and there may be like an oral exam or something like that in different states. And so it's not, we're registered in New York. All you have to do is graduate our program, and you've taken care of that. In other states, you may have to send in your syllabi and prove that you've taken how they interpret the courses. But I should say, New Jersey currently accepts our program. New York, we're registered. Connecticut, no problem. Pennsylvania, looks good. California, difficult. Other states, depends. Okay. So that is an overview of the Forensic Mental Health Counseling Program. And I'm going to talk a little bit, if we have time, but not right away, about some of these other programs so that we have it on our videotape briefly for students who may be applying for those programs. But first, I'd like to ask if there are any questions about the Forensic Counseling Program, or you can ask both Professor Salfati and myself about programs relating to either or both degrees before we continue. Yeah.
Is this a CASAC track?
Yes, CASAC.
Do you have to declare it in your first year?
You don't have to declare the CASAC track. You can just take the courses and you get independently certified. There will be more. There's a CASAC director who's currently Dr. Gottdiner, who will be retiring from that position, who can help you, who's in our department. But also we will be posting things online about the CASAC option. We just provide courses. You can take additional courses online. You have to take some undergraduate courses, and then you sort of can independently pursue that with some overlap that we provide for you here in order to get the CASAC certification. Yeah.
You had said after the 3,000 hours to get license.
Yes.
That's after you graduate. You have to start that, or can
Yes.
you start that?
No, you have to do it after you graduate, but it can be as part of the job. But you just have to have somebody who's qualified to supervise you, who's also a licensed professional at the job that fulfills the requirements. And you can find all of this out by doing a search for New York State Counselor License on Google. Just do a search, and the site said Education Department will come up with different licensed professions requirements, and we have information too. Yes.
If you're doing a CASAC track, does it matter when you do the undergrad courses?
No, you just have to do them. You can do them after you graduate. You can do one here or there. And you can go through our program part-time or full-time. It is recommended in either program that if you are working full-time, you should not take more than 2 courses at the beginning. Do so at your own risk. If you're working part-time, 20 hours a week, I wouldn't start with more than 3. Would you, Liz?
Depends.
Depends.
Well, I took 3 when I first started, and I was working 25 hours. I felt that I could take another. It is a lot, and I don't really have a life besides school, but if you were willing to not do anything else, then you can do it possibly if you are time management and don't have much other besides school and work. But be aware, be ready for what you are taking on.
Some courses are, and people have different experiences, but
thing to add here is that one of the key things, sorry, I'm just funny, one of the key things in graduate studies is what Liz is saying, is time management. Your time management skills, and if you don't have them, then development of these time management skills is going to be crucial for you to do well in the program. For those of you who, some of you may not have had experience with this or have trouble with time management, that's fine. If you do and you want some input on how we can help you manage your work-life balance or work-study balance, please come and see our peer advisors. That is what they're here for. Or if you find that it's really difficult, you can always also come and see the directors, or even reach out to other students in the program to get some help on that. But it's really, really important. And that's why you being here today, in advance of doing the program, is really going to help you make sure that you prepare yourself really well, so that you come here end of August, you're set, you've got everything sorted.
Where do we find out what those 5 courses in the undergrad for the CASAC track will be?
Oh, it's in the catalog, which is online, and listed right there, or you can email us and we will provide them. I just need to memorize. Okay. Yes.
Can you use the CASAC classes as electives in the program, or no?
Well, the ones that are at the graduate level can count towards like alcoholism and substance abuse, like 714, that could be a forensic elective. It's like 730, ethical issues in forensic psychology. You do your externship at a CASAC location that's approved for alcoholism treatment. That's another 300 hours and coursework towards your CASAC. So all of the CRJ 714, you can take as a cognate course and get credit for it in both programs. So all of those graduate level courses plus your externship can count towards the CASAC, in addition to the 5 undergraduate courses or an online substitute. Yes?
Is it, I guess, realistic to say time-wise for doing a CASAC that would probably take more than 2 years?
Probably another semester, yeah. That would be reasonable. Yes?
As new students, can we register for summer classes in the summer?
Now? I don't know. Perhaps some professor, I think it may be, is there late registration or is that done? I'm not sure.
For the first one, it's definitely done because we've already worked into the second week. I am not sure about the second one. I think the registration is gone, but if there's still spaces available, there may be a possibility, I think. You need to contact the office of the registrar to see whether you can register.
Well, we don't have very many courses in our program during the second 5 weeks. So almost all of our courses are 8-week courses. So I'm afraid that would be a problem if late registration is over. Any other? Yes?
Do you strongly recommend that we only start with 12 credits for the first semester?
No. You can start with fewer if you want. If you want to start it gradually. So it's up to you, but you have to consider tuition and loan kinds of things too.
What are the...
Yeah.
No.
But most people, I would say most full-time students start with 4 courses. That's very reasonable, and you can do 5.
What you have to think about, if you're going to be on financial aid, you have to be registered for a minimum of 2 courses. That's basic. And then obviously it also depends on the courses that you do. And this is probably when you want to reach out to your peer advisors to find out the combination of courses that you do. You may be doing less, but maybe doing some of the heavier courses together. What you don't want to end up doing is taking the ones who are the most advanced and intensive all at the same time. You probably want to spread those out over the semesters and then combine them with things that will match and also will match in terms of the days of the week. So it gives you time, because graduate studies is not just about sitting in class. You're probably going to be spending 3 to 4 times as much time outside of class studying as you're going to be in class. So those are the sort of things that we can advise you on when you start looking at the kinds of classes that you want to take.
So basically, for forensic counseling, I would recommend that you you don't have to do all of your required courses all at once. I suggest that you take a couple of required and a couple of forensic electives that are a little more juicy, if possible, every semester. And but if you're in the research track in forensic psychology, you would certainly want to get all of those research courses out of the way as soon as possible so that you can get right into the research requirements and try to get going quickly in that regard. Yes?
Those classes that were listed like in the beginning that said the classes that you have to take before the first 30 credits, are
Yes.
those classes included in those 60 credits, or those
Well,
are
for
classes
the
that-
forensic counseling, you have to take psychopathology and research methods and stat, and really you should take mental health professionals, social science, and law as your 4 basic courses. It's best to do them in the first semester, but you can do like one of the research methods or stat in the first semester and the other one in the second semester. If
But those
necessary.
count towards this.
They all count towards the 60. Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah.
How hard is it to get licensure to be a counselor in the forensic psychology externship track?
Well, the forensic psychology program does not lead to licensure. And if you get a degree in forensic psychology, you are not going to be able to be a practicing therapist in New York. Many states, about 35 states, have various therapy positions after you get a master's in forensic psychology, but not New York or New Jersey, for example. And that's why we've created the licensure track for to become a mental health counselor. So really you could get jobs as a case manager, working for managed care, or there are a few civil service jobs for forensic psychologists, not very many at the master's level. Or you could go right into a doctoral program, either PsyD or PhD. But if you're hoping to be a practicing clinician at the master's level in New York State, it's a problem with the forensic psychology program, which is why we created the forensic counseling program. So if that's what you decide to do, you could start out, if you've been accepted into forensic psychology, then you need to start talking with your professors and classmates and consider whether you want to remain in that track and get out after 42 credits, but have less flexibility getting a New York State job as a licensed counselor. I mean, as a licensed professional, which you need to practice counseling or therapy in New York State. So some people decide they want to go for their doctorate and get out quickly and go and stay in or transfer to forensic psychology. And the other way around, some people decide they want to become a licensed counselor at the master's level, and they transfer into the counseling degree. So you don't have to decide this immediately, but it's an issue to try to work on and resolve for yourself during the first year of this program. Well, let me just, Gabby, perhaps you want to say something, but I want to talk about these other programs a bit. So, okay. All right. Now, thanks very much, Liz. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about the MA-JD program and the postgraduate certificate in forensic psychology. This is the postgraduate certificate in forensic psychology. Some people will be going for this certificate and be in your classes. And basically it's an opportunity for, let's say, MSWs or people who have a master's in ed psych or counselors who don't have any forensic training to come to John Jay, take courses in our master's program, and after 18 credits with a forensic focus, they may be able to, they can get a certificate, and then they will have more of a concentration of knowledge about forensics, and maybe get a job where in the forensic area, or decide if they want to pursue forensics as an opportunity. So there are 6 tracks, and 2 of them involve psychological assessment and may involve concentration in different tests that might be given and testimony and so forth. There's also a family violence and victims track, a forensic counseling and therapy track, a research track. If you have a mentor, you need a mentor in advance to enter the research track in that program. Or you can create your own track, selected topics in forensic psychology. It's really a way to have 18 credits of forensic focus, and I can help you design your own track for those who are interested, but it doesn't lead to licensure. You already have to have your degree and so forth, and so it doesn't really apply to people in this room who have been accepted into one program or another. It's just a way to get a taste and a focus in forensic psychology. You already have your degree and want more forensic focus. So these are the different courses which are going to be available online, and we can send them to you if you're interested in one track or another, what the different courses in these different concentrations are for those who get a postgraduate certificate. Now, the MAJD program is the one additional program that we created in the last year. And this program is a joint degree program with New York Law School. And basically, it allows 12 credits in the MA program in forensic psychology to be counted towards your JD degree, and 12 JD credits counted towards your forensic psychology degree. But you have to be accepted by both programs independently. And once you're accepted, then you can take advantage of these overlapping courses so that you end up being able to graduate and go full-time in 4 years for your MA and JD instead of 5, which would it normally take, because there is a transfer of 12 JD credits into our program and a transfer of 12 CLAR credits into the JD program. However, New York Law School does have their private tuition, and they do have their own admission standards, and so you know, if you were interested, you would have to get around those hurdles. But nevertheless, it is an option. If you're starting here in forensic psychology, not forensic counseling, but forensic psychology, you have the opportunity to apply to New York Law School also, and then be able to apply for the joint degree, MA and JD. And then you would take your first year here and your second year full-time at New York Law School. They do have an evening program as well, and then you would mix it up with the courses after that. But if you do decide to apply to New York Law School and you get into their program, in addition to the MA here in forensic psychology, you should hold off on taking Psych 700, the law and psychology course, professionals in the law, because that course can't be credited towards your JD degree until you actually have completed your first year at New York Law School. So there's just a little detail. Everything else pretty much okay. So this program, MA JD program in forensic psychology, this dual degree program, is trying to train people to become mental health disability lawyers, either to advocate as lawyers for mentally disabled, or to become public policy advocates with a law degree and an in-depth knowledge of forensic psychology, working as a public policy advocate. So those are the two main. It's not really training you to be a psychologist, although some people may choose to go on and get a PhD in psychology after an MA and a JD. They have energy left in that regard, but it's mainly to train mental health disability lawyers and public policy makers. So that's the story about that program, and and we have this information about some of the courses. It's a regular law school program. In addition, New York Law School specializes in mental health disability law. And so you can see in this list here some of the, and those courses are online. You take 12 courses from New York Law School online specializing in mental health disability law. And here's examples. Americans with Disability Act, mental disability in the criminal law, mental health issues in jails and prisons, race, gender, class, and mental disability, therapeutic jurisprudence, etc. So that is a taste of that program. And more, we can send you this entire file, or you can get information about these programs. And I'm not going to go into the details of this because no one here is in those programs at the moment. Here is my contact information and the information about our program. Unlike forensic psychology, to access our program and our assistance, you contact me at my email address. And we are located on the 10th floor. Summer hours, all hours. And finally, before we open it up again for discussion, is let me know when you're ready. Shall I move on? Everybody ready? Okay.
I just have to change the tape.
Good. Okay. So, do you have room for another minute or two or not?
I have 1 minute remaining.
Okay, hold on. If you want, this is incorrect, but if you want to find out about all of these programs online, it's www. This is the homepage of John Jay, jjay.cuny.edu/ and then this is wrong, /psychology. Okay, ignore all of this stuff. www.jjay.cuny.edu/psychology, and you can click on every program that we talked about today. So that wraps it up, and thank you very much. And now we'll switch tapes for any discussion that we might